Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Modcast, episode 40.
Woo! Woo!
Yes, will we ever not do the woos? Never. It's part of our DNA. So, woo, I'm Wudge.
Woo, I'm Slime.
I'm Joggin.
No, I'm Lego Master.
I'm Indi.
We're doing our fourth QANDA today, and that is our Q&A episode. So we asked people to leave their questions in the comment section of the last episode and on Bird Chatter. So the first person that asked us a question was Potato, and he asked, "How dead are you guys on the inside?"
How dead do I sound? What just happened?
I don't know.
I think the call just went as dead as we are.
Yeah, there's your answer. This next question is, when will you start making good content?
When you start asking good questions.
Oh, snap. The next guy is Ghidorah131, and he asked quite a lot of questions. The majority of the questions on this are probably going to be from him. His first question is, will you guys ever do a theme revival like the main TTV cast? Not necessarily Bionicle, but maybe X-Force or Classic Space Police, etc. Yeah, so for, I guess, anyone that doesn't know, TTV has this whole Bionicle project, where they're imagining what Bionicle would be like as a system theme, using the constraints that LEGO would put on themselves for creating, like, a new theme. Personally, I have really only been a Bionicle fan. I have not delved into other themes as much, or at all, really. So, if I were to do a theme revival, I would have no idea, like, what anything would be.
The concept of taking something old and then reimagining it into something new and fresh and interesting and potentially solving all the flaws that the old theme had, that is an interesting concept to me, but what themes are you going to bring back that are really worth bringing back? Like, yeah, okay, Exoforce, sure, but, like, how do you reimagine that in a way that it makes it more interesting? Like, with Bionicle, you have something that's really unique. With Exoforce, you just have mech suits. Space Police, it's police in space. The more you start to get into these, the more you realize that the concepts behind a lot of LEGO's themes, apart from Bionicle, they're pretty simple and don't really lend themselves to, like, full-scale lore-building reimaginings like what TTV is doing with Bionicle.
I would be all for reimagining Knight's Kingdom 2, because that had, like, surface-level lore. It had a lot more than, say, Space Police or whatever. It wasn't quite on the level of Bionicle, but there was more potential there.
Yeah, but at the same time, like, what is it? It's Knights. I don't disagree that it was a great line, and I'm happy to have it when it was there, but is it really worth bringing back? I mean, what about it was so unique? Why not just make a new Knight line at that point? What did Knight's Kingdom 2 bring to the table that other lines didn't?
It had characters. It was different than a lot of the evergreen themes that LEGO has done, because if you look at the two main evergreen LEGO themes, or three main, I should say, Castle, City, and Space, most of the sub-themes throughout most of LEGO's history have had a kind of a core philosophy, which is they were sets that were interesting and that had minifigures that were nondescript, in the sense that they had models that were interesting, but they didn't really have a story. It was more about creating a cohesive theme and design that kids could then build their own models into. The thing with Knight's Kingdom 2, and I can think of a couple other themes that kind of came close, maybe the original Alpha Team, maybe some of the Adventures sub-themes. Those were themes that had a bit more of a story focus. They had named characters. They had more fleshed out locations. And in the case of Knight's Kingdom 2, they really did have a bit more of a lore behind it with the Shield of Ages and all that. But you're right, it doesn't go nearly as far as Bionicle, and I think that the only reason why TTV's reviving Bionicle G3 thing works is because they have so much information to draw upon from basically, almost 15 years of content?
The reason why I think that TTV is able to do that is not because of the amount of information, which obviously that does help, but it's the fact that Bionicle has such an interesting and unique premise behind it. It's mixture of island and robotic, inorganic with organic. That concept by itself is just a generally interesting thing. With Knight's Kingdom, yeah, it's got characters, but it's Knights. You've seen Knights before. You've seen Knights done in Exo Knights.
That's a fair point. Bionicle is LEGO's only theme that isn't generic to some degree.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now, I was going to say Ninjago is a little more unique, but it is ninjas. Granted, it's elemental ninjas, which It's a little more unique.
Right, yeah. I guess a lot of them just don't lend themselves incredibly well to that. Although, I mean, like, for a theme revival, though, I'm sure you'd try to make it more non-generic.
Even if I were gonna try to do, like, my own take on Knight's Kingdom 2, I'd probably call it Knight's Kingdom 3, and not rigidly stick to what was established.
You wouldn't stick to the original characters?
Not necessarily.
I mean, like, we can spend 3 or 5 episodes just debating that, and then come to the conclusion that we should stick with the original characters. Ultimately, though, would we do a theme revival?
Not as a podcast.
Not as a podcast, yeah, I agree. We've got other things we need to be focusing on.
Yeah, so next question. If Traveler's Tales Games ever did a Bionicle game in the style of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, who would not instantly have a heart attack? And what would you think? So, I mean, I would probably have a heart attack.
It's an interesting question because I'm the only one here who's actually played the game.
I wish I could, but there's no Switches anywhere, man. They're all sold out. I really want to, because Breath of the Wild seems like a really interesting departure from a lot of the confines of open world design that has plagued the video game industry. It just really feels like that you are actually in an open place that you can explore, and things are interesting, areas and locations, aside from just being filler content, essentially, which a lot of open world games or sandbox games seem to boil down to.
Looking at you, Open Man's Sky, No Man's Sky.
No Man's Sky. I don't like to think
No
about
Man's
it.
Game.
Honestly, I'd be excited. I mean, obviously it won't happen because Bionicle's dead and will forever
I mean,
be dead.
yeah, this is just a hypothetical. Like, this idea, it would probably not come to fruition. There was this one guy, I think his name was Joe Cool. He has this fan game where it's like an open world game, but you can play as the Toa, called Masks of Power. It's currently in like alpha, but it definitely seems pretty cool. You know, like that sort of thing can work. I guess once that game has been completed, I'm gonna be playing that nonstop. Hopefully, you know, if it takes cues from Breath of the Wild and really allows you to explore the environments and have actual content to interact with, you know, in interesting ways with your mask powers, then yeah, I can definitely see that.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that point. I think what Breath of the Wild does, in addition to the whole like open world thing, it's a physics-based world, and the ways you can interact with objects in the world is actually really interesting and fun. With mask powers, you could totally do that.
You could also have like, you know, incentives for collectibles out in the world, like, you know, you can get different masks and different powers and stuff out in the world.
Dude, so you know how Breath of the Wild has the shrines, right?
Yeah,
what if
yeah.
they did something like that where you have to do challenges like in the books to get the different masks?
Ooh, yeah,
for the
like
Toa.
you could have a game based off like 2001 with 60 shrines, quote unquote, and each of them could reward you with a mask. You have to get like the 12 masks for each Toa. I think the villages could look really cool. I think there's a lot of potential to have like, you know, this kind of biomechanical feel to it, almost like kind of Horizon Zero Dawn, I guess. I think just an open world game having these tribal robots island would be like the coolest thing ever, especially for Bionicle. In terms of it being Traveler's Tales, I wouldn't see them making that. This sounds more like a Bethesda game or something if it ever were to happen, which it wouldn't.
So his next question is, what would happen if someone else got appointed to be a mod? Inclusion in the Modcast and position in the mod squad, etc. So this is something that we haven't exactly talked about a whole lot, but it definitely has been mentioned, is that, like, say someone else gets appointed as a moderator. That situation really seems only to occur when a moderator leaves. One of us would have to resign for a new mod to be appointed, basically.
That's not necessarily the case, but that's the most likely situation.
Well, yeah, that's the most likely situation. Like, yes, there are other friends of TTV that have been mods in the past and they could return, like Star Paru. Inclusion in the Modcast, though, that's something that I'm like, alright, the TTV message boards and the Modcast are like two separate entities.
Yeah, at the moment they're running in sync, but there's nothing that says that that won't change in the future.
If someone did become a moderator, it doesn't necessarily mean that they'd also be like on the Modcast as well. Although, if we were to get new moderators, we'd probably be the ones to recommend them. So there'd be people that we'd actually like to talk with as well. It would be cool to have new people, but currently it isn't, like, needed.
People always wonder why, like, the current roster of mods hasn't changed in a while, whereas in the past, like, it was pretty changing, you know? That's because, like, it took a while for, I think, Res to find our groove, but once we found a good team of people that, like, are there enough to moderate the boards, it feels like there wouldn't be a need for more people right now, at least, because, like, we got it.
The way I see it, just like Wad just said, the boards aren't running in sync with our channel. Nothing necessarily says that anyone would be added here. Having said that, if we're recommending them, which is not necessarily the case, but if we generally enjoy them as a person, which hopefully would be the case because that's how our team has been working for the past almost 2 years now, there's a good chance we'd say, hey, you know, you're cool, do you want to join? And if they say, yes, sure, not, oh well. As far as position in the mod squad, like, the only authority happens after us. There's no hierarchy within our level.
So next question, who would be the most likely to become a trapeze artist and run away to the circus?
Ooh.
Indi.
Would it be me?
It's totally Indi.
Yeah, I can see it. It's been a dream of mine, you know. I mean, on my priorities list,
Masturbation.
you know, it goes, my first choice career would be, like, engineering. Second choice career would be, you know, tightrope
Trapeze
walker.
artist.
So it's definitely up there, you know.
Next question is, what's the first set you ever owned? I actually don't remember. I do recall having, like, the system dinosaurs. Like, if we're talking about Bionicle, which is also early on, it was Taraga Onawa.
My cousin, who was a little bit older than me, he gave me, when I was 3 or 4, I think, Liwamata, Anuamata, Galimata, and Kopakamata all at the same time.
If we're going by Lego sets, my first set was this beautiful thing right here. This is known as Go-Kart.
That actually is not a bad looking car.
It's not, actually. It's very late 90s Lego. That was my first Lego set, if you don't count Duplo. First Bionicle set was Watu Mata.
My first Bionicle set was Taraga Onawa, and my very first Lego set was this little thing with a guy and a little boat with some rocks and a shark, but a cursory examination of my posting history cannot dig up the time where I bothered to figure out what the set was actually called.
I believe my first set was a Orient Expedition set called Jungle River. Through a weird series of coincidences, I actually got 2 of these sets as gifts, very close together. And Orient Expedition went on to become one of my favorite LEGO themes, and actually one of the themes that got me interested in becoming a designer, because I really loved the box art and the overall graphic design that they used for the instruction manuals and the catalog pages for that series. Just had a very cool kind of Indiana Jones-esque feel to it. And my first Bionicle set, I believe, was Kalma.
Next question is potential theme ideas that LEGO could do in the future. I am probably gonna go out of the realm of plausibility, but what would be really insane would be a Shadow of the Colossus theme.
That could be cool.
That you
That
could
could be
build
cool.
all of the Colossi. I just want to have a system avion. Basically, that's the huge bird.
I would really enjoy a theme dedicated to nature in terms of, like, maybe there's a set that's a tree. I really like seeing people make elaborate nature out of Lego. Having things like this would be awesome. Like, this kind of stuff in a set would be amazing.
Oh.
Yeah, that would be really...
Ooh,
really
yeah.
I don't know how feasible that would be.
Yeah, I know. I just like to have packs for, like, trees and stuff. It'd be neat.
The problem with complicated Lego built trees most of the time is that they're just really fragile. But as a collector series, I could see that. You know how they did the Lego birds a couple years back for Lego Ideas?
Yeah, what if they did trees?
That would be really cool. The thing with trees is that they come in all sorts of unique shapes and sizes and colors.
Exactly.
I think Lego's current parts inventory could probably pull it off.
This is going to sound totally lame, and that everyone's just going to complain to me and say, this is already a thing. I'd really like to see some more architecture type stuff. Like, I know there's already a lot of Lego
already a
architecture
thing.
sets. Okay, look, I know, but, like, it's so constrained. Like, they do a really good job with it, but I feel like they could do more. Like, more intricate, more detailed, more interesting.
Like that Taj Mahal set that they did one time.
Yes, exactly, like the Taj Mahal set, or like they recently did the Big Ben, stuff like that. It's all fine and well to do the Taj Mahal or the Eiffel Tower, but like, why not do, I don't know, the Burj Khalifa or something like that?
The Roman Colosseum.
Exactly, yes, please, like anything like that.
This is something that a certain very small but vocal part of the LEGO community has been asking for, or wishing for rather, for a while, and that is
Galador!
neoclassic space. We got a taste of that with Benny in the Lego movie and with the exosuit, and every couple of years they bring out like classic space minifigures minifigures. But neoclassic space is a whole building subgenre where people will make these kind of very complex, extremely advanced spaceships using all sorts of advanced techniques and newer parts, but in the old school classic space blue and gray and trans yellow color scheme with the monochrome spaceman figures. I don't think it can really realistically happen because a lot of people say Star Wars kind of takes up Lego's main space theme, but like they've had Galaxy Squad, they've had Mars Mission, so maybe it's not as far-fetched, but it's really the type of theme that I think could be made to appeal to kids and would have a huge appeal to older people who grew up with those sets back in the 80s.
I'm a big fan of Star Wars, but I think that classic space just has a lot more imagination behind it, and that they can do a lot more without it being based off already existing things in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, and one thing that I think would be really neat about it, especially in LEGO's modern theme lineup, is that classic space, at least in my mind, originally isn't about any kind of conflict. It's about exploration. It's about humanity coming together and developing all this crazy new technology and just exploring the stars, seeing what's out there, discovering new planets. It's kind of a Star Trek-ish, well, okay, I guess Star Trek really has a lot of conflict now that you think about it, but, you know, the Star Trek opening to seek out new civilizations and all of that stuff.
That's
and
what I was
just
sitting on for what I was going to say, for what they should make into a Lego line.
Would Star Trek work as a Lego line, do you think, John?
It'd have to be like a limited edition collector's kind of thing. Sort of like the current Mega Bloks line. They'd have to get the rights.
I say, guys, we shelve this one because I think this would make a good episode, honestly.
Okay, yeah, let's say this for a later episode, I guess. Okay, so Slime, will you ever make a Toa fig with the new Minecraft slime piece as the head?
I don't have the new Minecraft slime piece yet because the set that it's in is like $60, which is more expensive than I'm willing to pay for that. Definitely I'm going to make a sigfig, but why would I make a Toa figure with a tiny head? I don't understand that.
Okay, so next question. Has TTV's G3 unintentionally killed the possible return of Bionicle from LEGO? No?
No.
Why would it?
If you said the opposite, has it unintentionally sparked the possibility of the return, then I'd say sure, maybe. We don't know what LEGO's doing, but I don't think making a fan project is going to kill it. It doesn't make any sense. If anything, you're just showing that there is still interest in a dead theme.
Have you, Slime, ever been mistaken for Jello and potentially bitten?
The answer is no. Moving on.
Okay, next question. From Toby Ekazap. If you could start the Modcast again, what would you do differently?
I would get rid of Chronicler.
I think one of the big things is not use TTV's trademark. Probably that. His next question is, if you could have any piece in any color and have as many of them as you like, what piece and what color would that be and why?
I'm going to say ball joints. I always need more ball joints.
I'm going to say black friction pins.
Really? I feel like I always have so many of those, you know?
What I mean by that is the friction pin axle combination. Like, you know, the ones that are regularly blue?
Oh, no, I agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I need more of those. Trying to rebuild like my 01 to 03 wave and you're looking for those things and it's rough.
Yeah, because those are some of the only sets that those black pins came in, and they came in like almost every Toa, if I remember right. I've been trying to rebuild some as well.
I think the point of this question is saying that if you could create a piece in any color, not just any piece in any color, it exists in any color.
I'd probably go for more of the, I guess, rarer colors, like teal. Like,
yeah, maybe teal CCBS or something.
Ooh, yeah.
That would be neat.
Can I have trans lime minifigure hands? Because that would be perfect for a sigfig.
I have no idea. I haven't mocked in a long time.
His third question is, when am I going to be a guest? And in brackets, he's like, this question is a lie, just like Waj. Okay. And real question, Waj, where are your shadow birds? So, I don't know, this is just a thing that Toby Ekazap has made, is my canon, that I have these shadow birds. And so, alright, fine, Toby, even though you're the one making the canon, where are the shadow birds? In the shadows. Duh. Like, that's where they are. Pelakar, this is the next guy that asked questions. Is slime related to lime?
They are one and the same.
Yeah.
Slime, lime, I don't know. You tell me.
Why do you think he had to email Lime to interview him? Why couldn't he talk to him?
Yeah, seems fairly suspicious, you know?
He's being pretty quiet over there. What's up?
And suspicious starts with an S. S, lime.
Conveniently, in my interview with him, I determined that he's not a troll. He's not fake.
You might be a troll.
Okay, so next question is, Waj, what is your favorite Bionicle meme?
Why just watch? What the heck?
It's because I have an aversion to memes, and I don't like memes,
Oh, really?
I mean, I'm sure Takua is everyone's favorite meme. So yeah, definitely not Takua. That's my answer. Uni has done a pretty interesting thing with his questions, is that he has asked each of us one question. So the question for me was, what does your video editing process look like? Like, what editing software, effects, music, compilation of tracks, what does it look like? So I'm actually going to put up the timeline of this video on the screen right here. So that is what it looks like, Uni. As you can see, it's all gray, and if I zoom in here, now you can see the waveforms. That's a cut right there, and there are thousands of those. As for software, I use the amazing and totally not outdated Sony Vegas Movie Studio HD Platinum 11, which I always like to say the full name because it's just so unnecessarily long. So I use that for audio editing, and for the video editing, I've been recently using After Effects to create like the avatar bopping effect or like the circular lighting effect, and I render those out and put them all together in Premiere Pro and do any kind of like keyframe animation as well. So Indi, your question is, what's underneath the blue mask and orange hoodie? What's the real secret to mastering the babes?
Alright, well, cracks knuckles. Underneath the blue mask and orange hoodie is just a normal guy with gorgeous eyes and washboard abs, you know, just your average bloke. In terms of mastering the babes, I think the real secret is never telling your girlfriend that entire section of the internet knows you as the master of babes online. So Slime has a good image we'll put up. If my words don't reach you in terms of my advice, this picture certainly will.
Next question. For Slime, how many different voices can you do? Or, in your Slime voice, what is the weirdest quote that you can say?
I honestly don't know how many voices I can do.
I don't want to
Of
know.
course, there's the LJ. Hey, everybody, it's me, LJ. And then,
Oh man, what did LJ get here?
there's-
To preface, Slime knows
Yeah.
deeply that I hate all of his voices. Like, every single one, other than his normal voice.
I know this and I accept it and I do it intentionally.
Yeah, I am aware.
Weirdest quote or saying that I can do in political slime voice. I gotta think something. Someone give me something to say.
Recite Hamlet's monologue in Act 3, Scene 1.
To be or not to be? That's the question.
No! No.
And then I cut them off right there. Alright, next question. The next question was addressed to Kronk, but Kronk isn't here. Is like, if you were to be represented as something other than an unamused gully, what would it be?
Probably something piratey,
Yeah.
18th century,
Yeah.
Ace Attorney, that sort of thing.
For Lego Master, if your sigfig minifigure were to be put in an official set, what set would it be? And this can be a pre-existing set or a set you make up for yourself.
Thing is, my sigfig kind of already is in an official set. As I believe I've mentioned before, he's in an older city set called the Small Car.
Is it as old as I am?
Maybe. But anyway, basically, yeah, my sigfig is almost directly taken from a small little Impulse by City set, and even though it's basically become part of my online identity, it's not really representative of what I wear or even really look like anymore. So in response to the question, I would probably redesign my sigfig and put him into the new 2017 City bus set.
Yeah, why not?
Oh.
Because buses are cool,
Yeah.
and we seriously have not gotten a Lego bus in the city line at this scale, as far as I can remember, especially not as just a standalone set, and I think it's just really cool. I'm like, yes, I'd like to be
Yeah.
there, because buses have become a huge part of my life going off to college.
Next question to John. You pilot a red TARDIS Zord in the Mighty Morphin Mod Squad animation. What would you have as a component? Like console, attack, game system, window tint, etc., that makes it better than a basic TARDIS?
I thought about this beforehand, and I came to the conclusion that the best possible thing that you could add would be a counterfeiting machine that makes undetectable fake money.
Okay, so this question is addressed to everyone. What are your goals going forward into this new year of modularity? For me, at least, it's just like making new things, because like even though like want to put out the Modcast, I do have other ideas, and I hopefully want to see those come to fruition.
I'd like to see some variety in content in terms of like getting us all out there kind of on some unscripted episodes.
We have ideas going forward. Will we execute those ideas? Maybe. Maybe we won't. For the moment, we're just continuing with the Modcast, and, we're okay with that.
Okay, so this is a bonus question, if you choose to accept. Are you mysterious as the dark side of the moon? Of course, is the line from I'll Make Man Out of You. My answer to that is, wouldn't you like to know?
My answer is, we must be swift as a coursing river, with all the force of a great tycoon, with all the strength of a raging fire, mysterious as the dark side of the moon.
Yeah, man. Alright,
My answer is, I'll see you on the dark side of the moon.
Oh my god.
Next question is from Leo Xandar. What knightly order from history would you join if given the chance? Templar, Teutonic, etc. So I don't know history, so I'm just gonna pick Templar Studios. That's my
Oh my god.
from history.
Hey, you know what, Waj? I'm gonna join you on that and ask them if they want to help make a sequel from Nog.
I'm the only person who's going to find this interesting because I'm actually taking a class about the Crusades right now. The knightly order, which I find the most interesting, is actually one that's a little bit lesser known. It's called the Knights of Lazarus, St. Lazarus, if I'm not mistaken. Basically, all these dudes had leprosy, which was fairly rampant at that time. The thing was with leprosy is that it destroys all like the nerve endings so that you can't feel anything, and eventually your body just gets all like ripped up and you die eventually. It's a fatal disease. So what these dudes would do, they were like warriors where they were already dying and dead, and they didn't fear pain because they couldn't feel it. And to me, that's just like, it's really cool. They're like zombie warriors.
I would want to join the Knights Hospital because they actually tried to like help the sick and such instead of just going off and killing people. And also they technically still exist.
Chronicler asks, hey, can I borrow $300? I need a new laptop. I promise I won't pay it back. The answer is no.
You can have 300 widgets in Monog
You're
2.
fired.
Next question. Political Slime on Twitter asks, who is Indi? What is Waj? Why is Slime? When is John? Where is LM? And how much is Krunk?
Who is Indi? I'm a man, a myth, a legend, and your dad.
What is Waj? A scrub.
What is Waj? Waj is the machine of editing.
Editing machine. Editing robot, essentially.
Why is Slime?
Why?
Why is Slime? We
Why
don't
is
know.
Slime?
We don't care.
Okay.
When is John? Forever and never. Simultaneously.
True facts.
Where is LM? Everywhere and nowhere. Simultaneously. How much is Kronk? At least 5.
Yeah.
At least 5.
John asks, when are you scrubs watching more Star Trek? Eventually. I'm sorry, yeah, I know. It's like, eventually. And we can do another episode on Star Trek.
Indeed.
Next question, why haven't we unlisted the memes episode?
It haunts my nightmares.
The only reason, John, is because it would break the chronology. People would go from episode 8 to 10, and it would just be a mystery. It's like, where'd it go?
A little mystery is good.
I guess so. It could be an infamous episode. Next question. What color was George Washington's white horse? Obviously, horse-colored. That's one of the Lego piece colors, right? They have some crazy ones, right? Yeah, it's horse colors.
Horse colors.
Out of the episodes we've recorded so far, do you have any particular favorites or least favorites?
My least favorite is the memes episode.
Anything Nintendo has been fun, I feel like. We've had some good discussion on those.
My favorite episodes are our no-topic episodes. Episode 26 is probably my favorite that we've done.
I'd say probably my favorite episode thus far was when we talked about Journey to 1, Volume 2.
Oh yeah, that was a good one.
That was during the time when Bionicle had just been confirmed to die. Everyone was like feeling, Journey to 1, it was good, but that ending was bad, and just like, I just felt so strongly that the whole entirety of it was just garbage.
Mm-hmm.
Just pure garbage. And I just did not understand what people saw in it. And that episode, I rewatched the episodes in that season, and I took notes during the episode. I used my phone and I created voice memos. I sometimes go back and listen to them because like throughout the episode, I'm just going in like 3 minutes in, this happens, why? And then as you just go further and further through the memos, it gets more and more just like, please just let it stop. I got to full-on rant mode in that episode, and that was great.
Yeah, me too. It was a good time.
I think my favorite was probably the Avatar episode. We were all not necessarily experts on it, but we all were quite familiar with it and all had contributions to make.
Thank you all for watching. This has been the 4th QANDA. So goodbye, everyone.
Bye, everybody. Thank you. Love
Peace
you.
out, dudes.
Bye. Huh.
Woo!